Hey guys, welcome. It is Anya, and today I have my beautiful friend Lauren over here, who also just happened to write a beautiful book called Freeing Your Heart for Love. It's the love month, so we're super excited about that. Hello, Lauren. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Tell me about your book, that beautiful book that's behind you right now. It is stunning.
Yeah, so I blew that up at FedEx.
That was the actual book.
No, it's actually a poster.
Well, it's perfect for video conferences like this.
Yeah, I'm marketing myself.
Perfect. We're all about marketing here. You
Yeah,
have
but my
to.
book, let's see. I talked about it for over a decade with friends because I would always share my life experiences with people and they would always tell me, you should write a book or, you can make a movie out of your life because for some reason my life was exciting. and but when I was telling these stories, it wasn't to excite people. It was because I was sad. I was really depressed. I just went through a lot of toxic relationships. I was raised in an abusive and toxic environment where my parents were both mentally and physically abusive. And so I grew up in a home of chaos and no love. So I wasn't taught love. So I kind of took that at the age of 16. I had my first suicidal depression thoughts, and I didn't know where that was coming from. And I remember that day just asking for the sky, begging at the age of 16 to take my life because I didn't want to be here anymore. And so I kind of took that suicidal depression into my adulthood. I married at the age of 17 to an abusive man. So I left one abusive home thinking I was going to jump into a happy home, but I ended up being in 9 more years of mental and physical abuse. I had two beautiful children with him, but he cheated on me. He got arrested for drugs. Um, he got deported to the Philippines. He wasn't a citizen. And so I was left to take care of two children on my own. And so that was my first marriage. I went through three marriages before I found the love of my life.
Ladies, if you're thinking this isn't it, it might not be it.
Yeah, like don't give up because I almost gave up. I mean, I went through, so what I was basically doing was my whole book is about, overcoming some of life's greatest challenges. I almost took my life in my 30s. So at the age of 16, I had the first thought, and it carried with me up until my 30s. And in my 30s, I actually had the bottle of Percocet pills that I was going to take in my apartment. The apartment was very dark. I don't know what kind of, if you're in that place, you know what I'm talking about, but you're just like you just don't want to be here anymore. And I didn't know, like I knew no other way out but to just take my life. I didn't take my life because I heard something that night. I don't know what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was because I needed to tell my story to help other people. And I just, that night I just put the pills back in the bottle and went the next day to see a therapist. I talk about it in my book, and she told me words I will never forget. She said, "You will break your children if you take your life." And I had four children at the time because with my second husband, I had two more beautiful boys. So I have four boys.
Oh my goodness.
And I just like I just those words stuck with me and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I took control of my life and took control of my happiness. I was still in relationships that didn't serve me because I didn't love myself. I was attracting men in my life. I always needed a man to validate me. Women, you don't need a man to validate you,
Yes,
just to
that
let you
is for
know.
sure.
And so I was seeking outside of myself all the time. And I would jump into these relationships and do things for these men that would hurt myself in return, giving my body away because I thought, oh, if I give my body away, this man's going to stay with me. I used sex as I used my body as a vehicle to get men. And that's all I became for men because I manifested that in my life. I know that now. Like I was giving my body to these men, unavailable men, men that were married, men that had girlfriends. And I felt so horrible after, it's like the whole cause and effect, and I would think, oh, I finally meet a guy that I love and then he cheats on me. Duh, Lauren, cause and effect, your karma, right? So I was just like, well, I was cheating too. So, I just cut that all out of my life at the age of 42. I woke up, I was married to my third husband. He had an illicit fantasy where it's called cuckolding. I looked it up. And if
I'm
you don't know what
familiar.
that means, it's, where they want you to make love with other men in front of them. And I didn't know we had this fantasy until we married.
Oh
And
my
then I thought,
goodness.
gosh, I've been married 2 times. If I don't do this for this man, he's going to leave me too. And I'm like, I have so much baggage, right? That was all in my head. No one's going to want me. I've been married 2 times. No one's going to want me. And I kept going through, like repeating that in my head. And, after probably, I don't know, the sixth encounter with a strange man, these men would just show up to our house unannounced. One time I was showering. I talk about this in my book,
Oh
but
my
I
goodness.
was showering and this guy just showed up and jumped into the shower with me and started loofahing my body. And, it's like my husband was like, I'll see you in the bedroom. I was like, what?
What? Whoa.
So I talk about this in the fourth part of my book, but ultimately I learned how to love myself. So I woke up at the age of 42. I'm 48. I'll be 49. And I just went to go find myself. Moved to a beach town, my happy place, which is the beach. And I just healed. And I was still running into unavailable men, but I was cutting them off faster because I knew what I was worthy of and I wanted love. And that's when I met my husband in 2017.
That is beautiful. So I mean, sorry about your past, like, but it's beautiful that you've come to such a beautiful place where you can be comfortable in yourself and you've embodied yourself and what you need to become in order for you to be in this beautiful loving relationship, because we need to kiss a couple frogs to get to our prince, right? You
Yes.
hear this all the time. It's really funny. I have a similar story. My story, and I talk about this in my book as well. I did not have a healthy relationship with my father, and thinking that if my father cannot love me, how is another man supposed to love me? And that carried on through, similar to what you were saying, is constantly being in these relationships that don't serve me over and over and over again. Can you talk a little bit about the actual healing processes? Because here with spirituality, we're always healing all the time, and we're always looking for ways to improve ourselves and for ways to love ourselves a little bit more. Can you speak a little bit about how you healed in order to get to that place where you can love yourself wholeheartedly? Because if you don't love yourself, how are you supposed to love someone else? And that happiness has to come from within. It has to come from you first before you're able to give it to anyone else. I always say, my mentor told me this: you have to manifest happiness first before you manifest
Mhm.
anything else. Unless you're happy with yourself and you had those suicidal thoughts, you had those depressing dark moments in your lives where you weren't 100% happy. So how did you heal? How did you come about? What was that process for you?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you said it all exactly correct, like what you need to do to find that happiness. But, my first husband, when he went to prison for 3 years, I thought, oh, I'm going to have fun now, right? Here I was, a married woman.
Two husbands later.
I met this guy. This was before I knew anything about what I knew now. And I met this guy. I used to work in the hotel business, and I was a front desk manager at Marriott Residence Inn. And I met this guy, and he was amazing. And, we got along great. He introduced me to this. We didn't work out. He ended up cheating on me and we broke up. But, he cheated on me, but here I was, a married woman, right? So it's funny. I talk about it in my book too, but he introduced me to this beautiful spiritual practice called nature and Buddhism. And so I started practicing Buddhism in the 80s. He introduced me to this practice. I kind of stumbled upon it in his hotel room, and I just asked him about it. And at first he was standoffish. He didn't want to tell me about it, but then he started sharing it with me. And then I started learning on my own and connecting with other members in the Buddhist community. And at first I was practicing for him. Then I realized this practice could make me happy. This truly, what it does is it helps you bring out your own internal happiness. So it's a self-fulfillment practice for yourself. And you just do a prayer and a chant, and you're basically looking at the reflection of yourself. And you just chant, and you chant for your happiness. You can chant to remove negative things. You can chant, I chanted to remove the depression thoughts. And it truly like transformed my life in the 80s, but I still had a lot of work to do. And so I discovered positive affirmations. I discovered Louise Hay. I started following like everybody that I could follow who taught positive things. And I just like put it all over my house. Like my house looks like inspirational throw up in here. It's just everywhere, every nook and corner. I put it on my mirror, right? Every morning I brush my teeth. I read something positive. Every morning I wake up, that's the first thing I do. So I just kind of like used all of that to heal. And then more importantly, writing this book, I forgave everybody in my past. Like I wrote it down on a piece of paper and burned it at midnight this year, stroke of midnight. I did Gabby Bernstein's 21-day manifestation challenge. Thank you,
Yes.
Gabby. I love Gabby Bernstein.
Yeah, I
And
do too. She's
I
amazing.
burned it. She's amazing. And she's just one of those people that she really opens your eyes. I have all three of her decks, right? Spirit Junkie, Universe Has Your Back, and Super Attractor. And those cards, like I really believe that energy's in our hands. And then, I say a prayer before I pull one, but I used those for healing. It's like there's so many resources and therapists, of course. I went to lots of therapy. But now I'm meditating. I meditate every morning and I love it. I love meditating.
That's
So
beautiful. I found so much joy and so much love in meditation alone. Like that has been such a catalyst for my own personal growth. And I bring it into my business. And then now I have a spiritual business, which I teach meditation and I teach all of these different spiritual practices. And I really feel at embodying that healing. I've similar to Big Gabby Bernstein, I've always known that and this has been coming up for me while I've been meditating recently, actually. You have to live by example, and you are living that example. You've healed yourself, so now you can bring everything that you've learned and teach people that way. Like instead of showing, we're not typical teachers, we're teaching them by teaching ourselves and healing ourselves. And us as healers, like you heal others by healing yourself, and people just don't realize this. I always also say that no matter how much healing you've done, no matter how many ayahuasca trips you've done or any kind of other healings you've done, you always have more healing to do. It's
yes.
funny. I'm learning how to do Akashic Records now, and
Oh,
it's so
nice.
interesting. It's beautiful. Like this morning, I'm only in like the first week of the learning how to do it on myself before I could like practice with others. And this morning I was in this healing session, and I've always had some kind of blockage in my throat chakra for as long as I could remember, where I couldn't fully open up my throat chakra and fully speak from my heart. Instead, which right now speaking, I feel like I completely healed that already just from today's session. But it was so beautiful. I went into the records and I found out that my mother used to choke me from a different past life. And that's why my throat chakra was closed for so many years. And I was like, wow, what? So, like, there's always this lineage of healing from like your past to your future to your present. There's always some kind of healing that you can do. Have you ever experienced what other kind of healing modalities have you done for yourself in retrospect of like holistic healings, for example? I know you said therapy as well. Have you ever done any kind of holistic healings like the Akashic Records? Have you dived into that at all?
Interesting you say that. We just interviewed someone on our podcast show that does Akashic readings, records. And she was the first one I met. Her name's Julia Wesley. And I was like, I want an Akashic record reading,
Ours are
And so
aligned.
that's the first time I heard about it. And now you're the second person that I'm
Stars
really
are
interested in
aligned
that.
for you. You need to get on this.
I do. And she says she was picking up from me. I've been really in tune with the angelic realm. And I don't know if you know Kyle Gray, but he's with Hay House. I love Hay House. I'm a huge Hay House supporter. I want to be a Hay House author
I do too.
one day. I'm
One day,
manifesting that.
manifest it on our vision boards.
Yes. I actually did a meditation, which is interesting. Just a side note. I'm going to enter a contest. They have a contest going to become a Hay House author. So I'm going to enter that contest for April. But I visualized being in the office with Reed, and I see the office and I see the wall and I see Hay House. And this was in my meditation visualization. And then the next day I got a video and it was their office with the same visualization I had. I was like, whoa.
That's the power of visualization.
But back to your question, I'm doing just more of I want to be an angel guide. So I got Kyle Gray's online class to be an angel guide certification, and I'm really like interested in tarot cards. I've never had tarot cards. I have Radley Valentine's box, and I just got Kyle Gray's, and I'm using like I'm learning But as far as like, I only went to one psychic in my past, and she actually told me this was when I wanted to clean out my heart chakra, because I didn't know what I wanted to clean out. I didn't even know anything about chakras. And I write about it in my book too, because I knew no idea what a chakra was. I'm like, what is that? Does it shock you? You know,
Yeah,
does
what
it
is
zap you?
this?
And I went to go
How
see a
many do you
psychic.
have?
Yeah. And I had no clue. I mean, the ladies at the salon told me, go see this lady. She'll tell you everything you need to know. They all seen her. And I was like scared. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go see a psychic. I've never seen one. But I saw her in June of 2017. And she told me I was going to meet my husband in October of 2017. She told me exactly who he was. She
Wow.
couldn't tell me how I was going to meet him, but I met him. And he is exactly the person she said.
Wow.
And she cleaned out my heart chakra. And I got really sick for a week. And she told me it's because I was cleaning out your heart chakra. She gave me a prayer that I kept up until this point. And it was a prayer I said every day. And it was beautiful. I didn't know what I was saying, and I didn't know what I was doing, you know, palms up, palms down. And I was just doing it. I just did it. And she, like, after she did that with me, like, I just opened up my heart to so much love and forgiveness. And that's when I met my husband. And we've been together ever since. We've been inseparable.
Oh, that's beautiful. See, we need to heal from the
I
inside.
cry. I cried today.
Yeah.
Yes. Cry because, you know, it's like I know what it's like now to be loved, truly loved. Like I thought those other men loved me, but I know now being with him how it feels to be loved. And I cry, not tears of sadness now, but it's tears of joy because
Joy.
it's like,
Yeah.
wow, you know,
So I'm sure.
and having these moments of like, you know,
So
just having these moments of like, oh, aha, you know.
So what was that aha moment for you? How can you distinguish between, because I know tons of women that are on a spiritual path, but they don't know, they're still stuck. I actually did an angel card reading this morning for a client, and she had all these men chasing her, but she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to open myself. I don't know how to open my heart. I don't know how to do this. So how can you distinguish between like real love versus something that's not real love, that you think is love, lust, I should say?
I think for me, it was after I discovered how to love myself, because I used to say negative things about myself, like, oh, you're so stupid. You're so ugly. Oh, why do you have this pimple on your face? You know, constant negative thoughts. But once I switched my thinking and took that out of my mental Rolodex, I met my husband. But I know because my husband, I had surgery before we got married. I had to get a partial hysterectomy where my uterus and my fallopian tubes are gone. I still have my ovaries, and he took care of me. He undressed me, he put on my socks, he helped me from the bed. And no one has ever in my life took care of me that way. We weren't even married. And then he loves my kids, he loves my boys. Almost every guy that I've been with didn't want my kids because that was baggage to them, you know, that's not my kids. But he loves my kids like they're his own. And that's how I knew I was truly loved, you know, just numerous things of how he takes care of me. He cooks for me every night. I haven't cooked since 2017. He's
Wow.
like,
I want your life.
he's a chef, and he cooks for me every night. And you know what? It's just like, I wrote it down. I remember hearing Oprah say, write down the man you want to be with. And I wrote it down and I tucked it under my, you know, journal. And I said, you know what? I'm going to manifest the man of my dreams. And it wasn't just meeting him, but it was like, more importantly, like loving myself first. And that's when I met him. Like I truly could not have met him if I didn't heal, if I didn't love myself. I dated myself before I met him. Like I took myself to like small little mini trips. I bought cheese platters for myself, bottle of wine, you know, even talked to myself like, oh, Lauren, what would you like tonight? Oh, I'll take that.
That is beautiful. There's actually a book by Catherine Woodward, Calling in the One, and she talks just about this actually. Like you have to be the embodiment of yourself, of your partner, of who you want to be. If you want a partner that works out, like you need to go to the gym because you need to be in that embodiment, be the person that you want to be with, because what 500-pound person is going to love you and if you're not working out as well with them? The same goes for like that love, that enticement for us to be able to love ourselves, because again, it is all for full circle coming down to it. Like we have to be in that love, have to be in that embodiment. and so we can love ourselves in order for someone else to love us. Do you have any tips and tricks on ways that you can self-love and give that kind of self-love to yourself and up that self-love in order for you to attract that person, because we do have to be who we want to be
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. So that's interesting you say that, because this month me and my friend Tiffany, who you'll meet too, because we want you on our podcast show. But she's another author, and we started this 28-day self-love challenge this month. And so every day I'm posting what I do every morning to practice self-love for myself and self-care,
Yes.
because I think it is two different things. But self-love, I think for me, is just doing things for yourself that makes you happy and makes you feel good inside, even doing things for others. So we have this thing that where if we receive a large amount of money, unexpected money, we either buy somebody a gift or we donate to a nonprofit that we are passionate about. But we like to give back. So I think giving back for me is a form of self-love for myself, because I am very blessed with everything I have. And there are people that are not blessed out there. And I give back to those people that are less fortunate. And that makes me feel good. That makes me feel love in my heart. Because
That's beautiful.
I really want love for everybody. I'm not just like, hey, look at her, she's always positive. I'm not always positive. I have my bad days, but I know how to turn it, like flip it, flip the script.
Yeah.
You just change your thinking, and you just think. I don't watch the news because the news is negative. I do watch Lester Holt because he always ends with a positive story, but I don't like watch the news because I don't want to fill my mind with all that stuff. And so I choose part of self-care and love is choosing other things that serve you for your highest good and for others, because I always think about other people.
That's beautiful. And especially like nowadays, we're so consumed with me, 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 me. Like that's everyone's consumption nowadays. And it's really, I always say the more you give, the more you get. Like everyone, like the more, or seriously, the more you give, even if you don't have much tangible to give, if you don't have $1 to give your time, spend some time with your
Mhm.
loved ones, spend that caring moment. Like it doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be tangible. That's beautiful that you're doing that. Actually, that's amazing.
And you
So
know what else is a good idea is if you have, like, we used to do affirmation cards from our deck, we would put it on people's windshields in the parking lot, right? At Costco. So they come to their car and they get a message. It's like, wow, like I remember getting a note that says you are loved. I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea. Nobody does that. So
that
it's
is
like,
a great idea. Even
you
a
never
post-it
know.
note, you
Yeah,
are
you
loved,
never
put it on
know.
everyone's windshields when you go grocery shopping.
Yeah,
I
you never
love
know.
that.
You never
Instead
know
of
who's
you're
gonna need
terrible Parker.
that. Yeah,
You
like
are loved.
you never know who's going to need that message, or who's going to take their life that night. You never know. Just never know who you can help.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you never know who's watching. Same as being like a personality on social media or in the public's eye. Like you never know who is watching, and you always have to inspire with a heart full of love and just come to it from a place of light and know that you are always being guided. And whoever is watching, that message will be heard, and it's going to hit one person or another in their hearts, and that's what really matters. That love, and so you give someone like those happy, beautiful feelings inside as well.
Yes.
That's beautiful. So, where can people find you? Where can they buy your book?
Yes. So it's on pre-order now. It comes out April 26th. I'm in layout. So woo, I'm so excited.
Yay!
But you can go to freeingyourheartforlove.com and you can pre-order the book there. You can subscribe to my mailing list and get the first chapter for free.
Ooh,
If you pre-order the book, there's lots of special bonuses. So yeah, that's where you can
that's
go.
exciting. And where can people find you online, follow you on social, and if they'd like to
Yes.
know more about love? Do you teach love at all? Like self-care love, is that anything that you bring into your teachings?
I'm working on that. So I'm learning that not just Lauren, you want to inspire, you also want to teach. So I'm learning more about that. But right now, my page is just all trying to inspire people, trying to share my story. If I can just help one person. So on Instagram, I'm at Writing as My Kismet, which is the same as Facebook. Um, so I've been doing, just these reels on there. I have bits of my story that I'm doing this month because I want to share where how I found self-love along my journey. And I'm also doing an Instagram live every Wednesday.
That's
So there's more and more
exciting.
people. Yeah, I'm bringing people on to speak about what they're doing to practice self-love, because I don't want it to be all about me. I want other people to share, and maybe they can help others as well.
Of course. And like that's actually been something that's been coming up for me a lot. And that's why I've been doing so many podcast interviews, especially lately, because like we're in a world where, in a time where we can't run a business by ourselves. There's just no
Mhm.
possible way. There people are expanding and consciousness is expanding. And I'm an expert at one thing. I can't teach everyone about everything. I know a lot, but I can't teach everyone about everything. That's why I love having these other guest speakers and guest artists who are talking about different embodiments that they are learning, so my audience could be a full
Mhm.
spectrum of everything and vice versa. So we have a self-love coach and beautiful healer on the inside and outside. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having us. Thank you so much for being on with me, Lori. Oh
Thank
goodness, my
you.
mind's all over the place today. Do you have any final tips and tricks for the audience to how they could embody themselves, self-love, how to get out of a rut relationship, or any other tips and tricks before we end?
Yeah, the rut relationship. I'm an expert at that for sure.
Yeah.
But, just I think for that is just once again to know your worth, know that you're not alone. If you need help, if you feel sad, there's so many resources out there to people to talk to. I try to do this on my own. I tried to say I don't need therapy or I don't need self-healing, but I did. I needed it. And once you realize that you have that at your fingertips and you are responsible for your own happiness, go after your happiness, because everybody deserves to be happy. And that would be my words of wisdom.
Yes, and everyone deserves to be loved. Love is what makes the world go around. Well, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Join us for this free 90-minute masterclass and find out how the Rebel Entrepreneur method can change your life and business. For the badass spiritual entrepreneur that is ready to step into limitless abundance and consistently bring in 10, 20, 30K months. To join the masterclass, visit aniahalama.com/rebel-method.